Hey guys, today I'm going to be showing you how to make a simple crochet beret. Sorry, my hand movements are kind of awkward. Crocheting while filming is new for me. So I'm going to start with a slip knot, of course. And there are a couple different ways you can start off this circle. I don't remember which way I actually started when I was filming this. I believe I started with chain 2. And then 6 single crochet into that second chain from the hook. I usually do 3 in one side of the chain and then 3 in the other side of the chain. You can also start out by chaining 4 and doing 11 double crochet the first chain. But I find I like having 2 rounds of single crochet to start out. I feel like it's a more stable foundation for the circle. Make sure you have 6 single crochet. And then for the second round, you're going to do 2 single crochet into each stitch. Now that you're at the end of this second round, you're going to join to the first stitch of that round with a slip stitch. And then chain 3 for the beginning chain of the first double crochet round. Then you're going to double crochet into that next single crochet, and you're going to do 2 double crochet in each stitch until you get to the last stitch, which is that slip stitch that you started with at the base of the chain. Once you get to that slip stitch, you are going to double crochet once in that slip stitch, and the beginning chain will basically replace the second double crochet in that pair. So I'm going to count that chain as a double crochet. This is the only round where you have to double crochet into the slip stitch. And it can be a little hard to get the hook through that. But you only have to deal with it once. And then after that double crochet, you will join into the top of the turning chain with a slip stitch. And then chain 3 again to begin the next round. Now in this round and in all following rounds until we stop increasing, the number of stitches in between increases will continue getting bigger. The easiest way to do it is just increase in the first stitch of the increase from the previous round. So if you look at the increase, it makes a little V shape. Just do 2 double crochet on the first stitch of each V, and only one stitch in all following until you get to the next increase from the previous round. So that means for this round there will be one stitch in between increases. So 2 double crochet in one stitch, 1 double crochet in the next stitch, and so on. And for following rounds, you're going to start the same way with 3 chain stitches, and then 2 double crochet in the first stitch, and 2 double crochet in the first stitch of every increase in the previous round. Remember not to double crochet in that slip stitch. You will not be doing that anymore. Just go ahead and skip that and slip stitch in the top of the chain at the beginning of the round. Now, once this disc you have is big enough, I'll put some measurements probably on screen and in the description of how big mine is, though it'll probably vary on this based on the size of your head or just how baggy you want the hat to be. Once it reaches the size you want, we're going to do a round with no increases. So just 1 double crochet in every stitch. This round with no increasing or decreasing will just make the transition a little smoother from the increasing circle to the decreasing circle. Without that round, it would look a little silly and we'd end up with some pretty sharp creases where the increases and decreases are. So this transition round just makes the hat shaped a bit smoother. And now for this next round, we're going to begin decreasing. So you start with a chain 3, just like you did on all previous rounds, but you're going to double crochet 2 together in all the places where you would increase. So start with the first half of a double crochet, then do the first half of a double crochet in the next stitch. And this is the hardest round for decreasing because there's a round in between this round and the last increase round. But it shouldn't be too hard to figure out where to decrease. You're basically crocheting together the 2 stitches that are made out of the increase from the last increase round. And I'll show you the decrease in detail again here, just one more time. You find the stitch that is right above the first stitch of the last increase. You begin a double crochet in that stitch. After the first half of that, you begin a double crochet in the next stitch. And then crochet all those 3 loops together. And continue on with the round in the same way. And you'll continue with more rounds this same way, still beginning with the chain 3 and then decreasing above all previous decreases. you should still have 12 decreases per round. And of course, it doesn't really matter if they're a little bit off as long as you still have 12 per round. The shape might be a little uneven, but it's not a big deal. And you are going to continue with rounds like this until you have a circle hole in the center that is about the right size for your head. And I will, again, leave measurements probably on screen and in the description. And I'll leave centimeters as well. Now, once you have a hole that's a good size for your head, you can just stop there, but I like to add a single round of single crochet to kind of stabilize that edge and keep it a little more firm and make it stay on my head better. This is optional, but I find that it's really helpful. So next we're just going to do a round of single crochet with no increasing or decreasing. I don't know why this video is in the wrong orientation, but once you finish the round, single crochet into that slip stitch at the top of the turning chain there. And then slip stitch into the first single crochet of this round. And then tie off however you prefer. I like to do 2 chain stitches and then stretch out that loop and then cut that loop, and then pull it as tight as I can. I've seen other people's methods of tying off their crochet and I don't understand because I'm very paranoid about things unraveling. And this is the most secure way of tying off that I've found. So I just pulled that knot as tight as I possibly can. Now for the pom-pom. This is entirely optional. You could go without a pom-pom or you could buy a pom-pom, but I like to make them myself with yarn, usually matching the yarn I crocheted the hat with. Start by wrapping the yarn around several fingers and try to keep your fingers pretty straight and not spread out or anything, and also try to distribute the yarn evenly on the fingers so that the pom-pom doesn't end up super misshapen. And just keep wrapping until you have a pretty thick stack or until you run out of yarn like I did. And then you can either take more of the same yarn or a piece of thread of some sort. I used crochet thread. And tie that around the center of your wrapped yarn. And you might find that you want to tie maybe a square knot on one end and then wrap it again and tie again on the other side. Maybe wrap and tie multiple times to make sure that it's tight. And after that is tied tightly and securely, you'll take a pair of scissors and cut the loops of yarn on either end. and the pom-pom will not be a perfect sphere at this point. So now it's time to give it a haircut. Once your pom-pom looks relatively even, it's time to attach it to the hat. There are lots of different ways of doing this, but the way I use most often is I actually end up with a little bar down the center of the first round because of how I crochet into either side of that first chain. So I actually hook one length of thread down one side of that and the other length of thread down the other side, and then tie them underneath. If you only have a single hole without that bar down the center, you can just pull both ends of the thread through and tie them to something down there in some other way. And of course, don't forget to weave in your ends. I'm very silly and always forget to leave a long enough tail to use a needle for, so I use a hook for the yarn tail, but you can use a tapestry needle or some other needle for the longer tails. And the hat is done. I find this really simple. They work out pretty fast once you get used to it.